Alright, Path of Exile players, let's go over at my Phrecia League Starter Ranger / Daughter of Oshabi, which is the brand new class that got introduced into this season, or league, or mini event, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to go ahead and go over my build guide as a early beginner's guide to basically the end game. So this is basically, once I just got to end game, this is kind of what I decided to build. Everything that you see here is going to be able to be built under one divine. So it's very budget friendly and everyone's going to be able to achieve it, even if you are a super casual PoE player. If you are brand new to Path of Exile, because I stream Diablo and Path of Exile, there's always people coming in asking, hey, should I start playing Path of Exile now? And the answer is yes, the league just started over here, and if you need a full walkthrough beginner's guide, I have one already uploaded. It's already at the end game. It has every single quest that you need to do, all timestamped, so it's very beginner friendly, and it'll walk you through the entirety of the game. But there's going to be a intro to my build. It is not min-maxed yet, but Path of Exile is a game where it takes a long time to min-max, and I think that having multiple different build guides for progression, I think is key for players to go ahead and be able to follow along with. So for starters, I actually want to start off, instead of going over the gear, I want to go over the passive tree, because this is a brand new class, so there are some newer things. Also want to mention, I only have done 3 of the labs in the gameplay. However, you can obviously get the 4th lab. It's going to give you crazy amounts of extra damage. I already have it at this point, but I recorded this gameplay earlier on, pretty much once I got to maps, and was able to get basically the goal, as well as here's Ire, which is going to give us extra damage and survivability. But let's go ahead and go over kind of the most important things. So first off, you can play any sort of elemental projectile with this build. It doesn't have to be specifically Ice Shot. You can play Ice Shot, you can play Lightning Arrow. Anything that essentially can either deal elemental damage and is a projectile, you can fit it into this build. So again, it's super budget friendly as well, because, well, you just start stacking lots of shrines, which you're going to be getting these newer things called idols. Another thing I want to mention really quick, if you are familiar with PoE and you maybe have copied my build guides or just want a build guide and you're just watching this video, pay attention to this. Usually I would just say, here's the pod, go have fun, and I will still include it in the description. However, you have to pay attention to this one, because there's a lot of newer things, specifically like idols, and because this is a new class, there's actually something very important that I want to mention, because otherwise you're going to deal a lot less damage. So first off, I want to go over the brand new Daughter of Oshabi. It's not technically in, if I go to link to the passive tree on the Path of Exile website, it is all wrong, because it has a brand new class. This new class, they didn't update the official Path of Exile website, so we have to use POB or any other website. So I know it's really small text, but I'm going to read you guys the effects. So for the lab points, this is what we get for our ascendancy. Again, it's Daughter of Oshabi is the name of it. So we have, for the first 2 points, we get Woodland Shrines, which makes it so when we kill an enemy, we can generate a shrine. Now, it's not like every single enemy that we kill generates a shrine, but on top of this, we also have this bonus where we get a random shrine buff every 10 seconds. These can actually be scaled with the brand new idols. These are acquired at the end game, and these are really cheap. You can get these from anywhere from 1 to 5 Chaos Orbs for specifically getting a 1 modifier one, and the 1 mod that we're looking for is increased duration of the shrine effects on players in your maps. So that's how I'm stacking all of these shrine effects without even touching any shrines. Technically, we can generate our own shrines as well. But there's actually a mod also that you can get to make shrines appear more often in your maps. If you can get both of those on an idol, that is money. Most of these, though, I bought these for 1 to 5 chaos apiece, and there's quite a bit that you're gonna start to unlock, so you guys can see. Over here, I still have a bunch locked, but eventually you're gonna start unlocking all of these. It's kind of like your map progression in PoE Phrecia League, so you're going to unlock a lot of these. So this is your power. Another thing I want to mention with this build is that it relies on you doing maps, which is pretty much what 99% of the players do. But if you are interested in doing specifically lab farming only, then these buffs will not apply if it is, let's say, a Kyrak mission map, or if you're doing heist or something, because those aren't in your map. Those are doing something else. So that is very important to mention if you want to play this build, because there are people that want to do other forms of content that you might not be able to get these buffs with. But again, pretty much most people are just doing that. So that is something important to mention. But there's another thing that's very important. There's a passive called Oath of the Magi. The only one that's important is that we keep our chest piece sockets empty. The reason why is because all the defenses get doubled with our chest piece. Now, if we can hit the other bonuses, that's great. It's not a bad idea at all. You can instead remove all of your gems in your helmet and put them in other places. Right now, I have my boots empty as well as my chest piece, just so I can get extra movement speed. So if you have no socketed gems in any one of these categories, you're going to get the bonus. So from the chest piece, you get everything doubled. That is an absolute must for this build. The other one is in your helmet, which is pretty good. You get plus 60% to all elemental resistances, which is insane. And then there's also a 30% increased maximum life if you have no sockets inside of the gloves. It's not sockets necessarily where like it just has the sockets, but it's socketed gems in there. Okay, so you can still have a 6-socket chest piece. Again, you just don't put any gems inside. And then on the boots, you get 30% increased movement speed. Ideally though, you just need the chest piece to be empty. The rest of them, if you want the bonuses, by all means go for it. The resistance one is really good, but I like the movement speed right now because I'm pretty much deleting most of the content. You can see my character just grew big over there. That's not zoomed in, but that's the most important thing with this. Now, the last node that we get, which is forest tracking, is insane. It almost doubles our DPS. It's a huge boost. What it gives us is 2% increased attack damage per 450 evasion rating. We can scale into about 100,000 towards the end of the game. If we really min-max, we have a Jade Flask up, and then we have the shrine that gives us bonus defensive stats. You can get, again, 100,000 evasion rating, which is crazy. And then also there's another bonus where rare and unique enemies on the map actually appear as these little yellow icons. It's really helpful to see kind of where the elites are, or like the rare monsters are on the map. It's really great. I actually already have it now, but in the gameplay, again, this is like early map gameplay where I didn't have it, but this will legitimately like pretty much double your DPS as long as you happen to have a high evasion chest piece, which is pretty cheap this league, and you don't even need a 6-link it, which is awesome. But as far as the tree, this is what it's looking like. If you are new to PoE Ninja, if you click where it says link to passive skill tree, just in case you're like, I kind of want to read the effects a little bit like closer, it will have the actual build right here for you. Just keep in mind that the Ascendancy, because it's not like a official like league, I guess, or whatever that you want to call it, it's like a special thing for specifically Phrecia. That thing won't be changed. It's weird. The official Path of Exile website doesn't even update it, but nonetheless, this is what we get. The only important things to mention is really getting these 2 additional projectiles, as earlier on, if you run like volley, or you can run like lesser multiple projectiles, but later on you don't need that. That significantly will decrease your damage. And what I would recommend you guys to do in terms of the gems, because just getting any 6-link is kind of what you want. Don't worry too much about getting the exact same gems that I'm running, other than run lightning arrow or ice shot. If you want to play something else, by all means go for it, but those are the 2 that I really recommend. And then just getting just a high damage bow. So now that we kind of went over like the important things, another thing that's very important for the build, you do definitely want to get precise technique. This is something that we get to give us massive damage before we scale into crit. Crit is one of the best things in Path of Exile, but it's more of a premium stat. It's more like an end game thing, because not only do you have to get crit strike chance, but you also have to get crit strike damage. Now with this build, technically there is a shrine that you can get that gives you 100% crit. You could, I guess, rely on that if you wanted to, but for the most part, because these shrine effects are random and you're not going to be able to guarantee it every single time, it's going to be something that you will need to consider later down the line. But I also actually want to go over the gems. But you need to make sure with precise technique, by the way, that your accuracy rating is always higher than your HP. And that includes when you get the shrine buff that gives you like 1,000-ish extra bonus HP. At this point, I'm at like 6,000 HP. So make sure that, again, your accuracy rating is above your HP, even with that shrine. You can see how many shrine buffs we have. It's crazy. But basically, that's one of the most important things with the build. Now, as far as the gems go, again, your chest piece must be empty. I happen to have like a unset ring, so I threw in dash, but this is optional for our skills. I'm running Vault Ice Shot, but you can run Lightning Arrow or Ice Shot. It doesn't have to be Vault Ice Shot, but this is like just only a couple Chaos, and I just think it's kind of flashy and it looks cool when you get all these little like clones to also shoot. Basically, I just activate the Evolve variant during the boss, but regular is totally fine. You can run added lightning damage or Trinity, whatever support gem that you happen to have is totally fine. And then I really like returning projectiles because it pierces everything, and then it'll activate like Chill, Shock, or whatever. It'll just start that first hit with the enemy, and then it pierces everything, so it's really good for clear speed. I'm also running added cold damage, elemental damage with attacks, and Mirage Archer, but you can swap any of these. The only really important one to definitely have in the build is getting elemental damage with attacks, and then cold and or lightning is definitely going to be kind of key here, as getting flat numbers is great. You can also get flat numbers in ring. It's just earlier on, getting the flat number is usually better than the percentage, but later we can swap things out. If you really want to swap out like Mirage Archer or any of the other ones, and you want to just go straight into ice shot, you can remove added lightning and then start scaling other things as well. But as far as our other gems go, precision, we need this for the accuracy. We also want run grace eventually. Right now I don't have grace activated because I didn't have the mana reservation efficiency, but eventually you want to add in grace. You can also run Ice Golem to give you extra accuracy, and then Herald of Ice. So these are our buffs that we want to run. Again, earlier on in the gameplay, I don't happen to have Grace, but this will give you a huge boost to survivability and damage once you get that 4th lab. I would kind of wait till you get your 4th lab done, and then throw on Grace, because it's going to give you way more value for it. And then I'm running this in the gloves, but it doesn't really matter where you put these. There's nothing that's important for like the location of these, but I'm running Sniper's Mark, as well as Mark on Hit. And then we're running Frenzy with Mana Forged Arrows. These two need to be linked, and these two need to be linked. The rest of the stuff in your entire build does not need to be linked at all. All you need is a 6 link, and then Sniper's Mark, Mark on Hit, Frenzy, Mana Forged Arrows. This just gives us free Frenzy charges. But the Sniper's Mark, Mark on Hit is definitely like a must. This is, it's a little bit nicer for quality of life. Again, it just gives you extra free Frenzy charges with your Mana Forged Arrows. Alternatively, you could also run this other thing that will apply Shock, and then you can also run the one where it gives you bonus damage, but you can't inflict ailments. That's another option, but I wanted to keep the boots empty just for insane amounts of movement speed, but you can also do the helmet for an insane amount of resistances. It's kind of up to you, but again, keep your chest piece empty here. You don't have to have Unset Ring, you don't have to run dash. But as far as the gear, let's go over the gear now, and I'll go over the prices of this to show you guys kind of what you're looking for. So for our bow, ideally, we just get as much elemental damage as possible, so you can go to the Path of Exile trade website, and I'll kind of show you what we're like kind of looking for in a second here. Then we're running the goal. This is going to give us big amounts of shrine duration as well as increased shrine effect. This quiver honestly should be replaced. Basically anything that's going to give you attack speed, some damage, some resistances, life, those are all great stats. Our amulet is pretty garbage. Honestly, it's just giving us the strength and int as we need it for elemental damage with attacks and added lightning damage. But just getting flat elemental damage is totally a-okay on it. Getting life resistances, physical and or elemental damage is great on the rings. Also, you can look for stats of getting int on your rings. That's great. Hero's Ire for the chest piece is great because it gives us damage, spell suppression, as well as giving us extra cold damage with bow attacks. And then we also run another ring here. Again, it's kind of something where most of these, by the way, I bought pretty much everything for 5 chaos and under, with the exception of the bow, the chest piece, and the helm. And then for this ring over here, again, it's just basically resistances, elemental damage with attacks. And then these gloves over here, we just happen to have attack speed, some life, and some more resistances. I mean, you can see this is very budget-friendly gear here. And then this belt over here is just giving us extra HP. It also gives us a bunch of strength and resistances, and then elemental damage with attack skills. Eventually, though, once we give you guys like the more endgame one, we will definitely want to go ahead and throw in a Stygian Vise, and then just get extra, like maybe even Corrupted Blood immunity would be great. And then for the boots over here, we definitely want movement speed. I got some chaos res. Eventually we'll max out on our chaos res, but right now chaos res, ideally we could eventually get more. And then if you want to get chances for onslaught and kill, that is a fantastic stat. Tailwind, those are all great things, but those get kind of expensive. But I got these for like 5C over here. And then as far as the flask goes, I decided to go with granite, a quicksilver, just something to remove chill or freeze. So ideally removing freeze and corrupted blood somewhere in your build is good. I have another like amethyst flask, and then I have a jade flask over here now, but it doesn't really matter too much in terms of the flask. There's not a flask that like makes the build get up and running. But as far as the items go in terms of pricing, these are the kind of the items that you want to shoot for. So again, what you want to look for is just any 6-linked bow. It will more likely be corrupted, so if you happen to get certain other like gems, you can swap things in and out. It's not very strict other than running either lightning arrow or ice shot, and then elemental damage with attacks. The rest, mess around with whatever you happen to have, really. Just throw it into like the POB, and then work it from there. But One thing to note, if you're sorting things by DPS over here, do not pick up anything that has chaos damage, as we scale elemental damage, not chaos damage. Also want to mention on the passive tree, there's like a few points where like I got extra accuracy. It's because I have so much HP. I have like 6k plus, and I need to make sure my accuracy is above. So if you don't really need like this accuracy here or this accuracy right here, feel free to go ahead and make some adjustments. But as far as the bow goes, you can I think you can actually get accuracy as well on the bow, but pretty much just look for the highest DPS, but make sure it does not have like poison or any sort of chaos damage. Basically, you don't really want those kind of stats if you are looking at DPS. But again, about 20 chaos orbs will get you a pretty decent bow. It's like 700. This is actually better than the one I have, but like 700 DPS is kind of what you're looking for if you want kind of similar results. But that's not even like really that great. If you spend a divine, you can go way higher in DPS. The other expensive item is going to be the goal. It's about 35 chaos orbs, and again, the rolls really don't matter. These always roll perfect. I mean, if you get one that has a little bit more HP, cool. It's really not that big of a deal though. And then here is Ire is great. It is a chess piece, and again, you don't even need to look at the sockets in here. Ideally, try to get one if you do happen to have more currency, to get one with high evasion rating. That is going to roll anywhere from 140 to 220. And this is going to actually give you even more damage with the build. And then the last thing over here is buying idols. I bought a lot of idols. Anywhere from 1 to 5 chaos orbs is all the idols that you see over here. But if you spend 10 chaos orbs, you can get idols that have shrine effect on players in terms of increased duration. So you get increased duration and more shrines to appear. Since this is a budget build, again, all of these were purchased for 1 to 5 chaos orbs a piece. It starts to add up in terms of the price. Like if you buy a bunch for like 1 to 5, again, I was kind of just whatever buying them because, you know, people don't respond, but there's so many listed for, again, 1 to 5. But if you pick these up for like 2 to 3 here and there, you're more than likely just getting one stat, which is shrine effects. Ideally get a rare one, even though I don't really like do breaches or anything like that. It's just like whatever rolls on it, cool, whatever, not that big of a deal. The important thing is getting that 2% increased maps found in Eric to help out with map sustain. Just fill up your entire inventory first. My suggestion is buy a bunch for, again, 1 to 5, fill up your entire map receptacle over here with as many idols as possible, specifically with, again, increased duration of the shrines, and then the increased maps found is always going to be on all of them. These are unmodifiable, by the way, so you can't like purchase a blue and then try to upgrade it. Just get a bunch of these, fill up everything, and then later replace all of the ones later with the double stats, which will cost you about 10 chaos orbs a piece if you get increased duration, plus the shrines to appear map. I have 0 increased chances to get shrines, but those are the 2 stats that you want. The rest of them, if you get delirium or whatever, cool, it doesn't really matter. You can also just find these by just playing the game, but a lot of people will just throw them in a tab for like 5 and under for chaos orbs, and then they start reading them. But again, you could just start whispering them, and you can pick up a bunch of these, throw these all in, and you will get way more duration on your shrines. You can see, like, look at my shrine buffs. They're all pretty much going to be like this. It's really great. But anyways, that is going to be the build guide that I've been playing for the Daughter of Oshabi Ranger build. And again, I will link the POB down below if you're watching this over on TikTok. It'll also be in the bio for the, well, there's no like mobalytics yet for PoE 1. They have it for PoE 2, but as far as this goes, yeah, I'll just link that in the description of the YouTube video. But anyways, yeah, that is the Daughter of Oshabi Ranger build that I've been playing, and I'll update you guys later when I min-max a little bit more with like actually much better gear, because like a lot of these things do definitely need to be replaced, but they're not essentially key to making the build run. The things that are going to be able to make the build run smoothly and really efficient is going to be goal, here is Ire, and then just get any 6 link with high damage. Those are the 3 key things, again, that will cost your chaos orb. So you got about 20 here, 35, so that's 55 over here, and like 70. So basically this build is about half a divine with just those 3 items. The rest of the items, again, they were all, you guys can see the stats of them. They're not like even filled up most of the time with all prefixes and suffixes filled in. But again, those are kind of the stats that you want to try to get earlier on, and later we will get things like its series promise and getting all of these flasks to be like up 100% of the time, just with all of like the automatic enchants and stuff, and then it's going to make the build feel way smoother. But that's going to wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you want to see an update to this build or other builds in the future, hit subscribe, turn that bell if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, Exiles.